Hey crafters, Lisa here from Fun Stuff Craft. So glad you could join me for another Inspiration Friday. So I'm really excited to share with you a sewing tutorial today. So some of you know that I am a new grandma and I have got the sweetest little granddaughter that is cutting her first teeth. So as a grandma, you want to help out, do whatever you can. And so I was looking around for projects for us to do, and I found the cutest little idea to make bunny ear wooden teething ring. So I can't wait to show you this project. They are quick and easy to make. They are perfect, and my sweet little granddaughter Riley loves just gnawing on it as she's trying to cut her teeth. And these are also a fun thing to make for a baby shower gift. It would also be a great thing to sell at bazaars, and it does not take much material at all. So stay tuned. I'm actually going to join you over on my counter, and I'm actually going to show you how I cut out a pattern for it so I can make lots of these if I need to. But hey, if this is your first time stopping by my channel, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. We try to share videos every Friday. That's why we call it Inspiration Friday. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and click on the bell, and YouTube should alert you each time I upload a new video. So give me a second. I'm going to get my camera angle changed and we are going to do some sewing today. So let's start by creating a pattern for this teething ring. So what I like to do is I'm just using a piece of cardstock, and I am going to use it at 3 inches, and I'm going to use it at 8 inches. So that's the size that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to use my ruler here, and I am going to measure that I have got a 3-inch by 8-inch piece of paper. Easy as that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center point right there, and which is 1.5 inches. And then I am going to come right down here, and I am going to come down to the 2-inch mark, and I'm going to come down to the 2-inch mark. Then I'm just going to take a piece of tape or roll of tape, just so I can use that to make the rounded edge of our little teething ring that we're making. And that's it for my pattern. Now, before I cut it out, I like to label it. And so just to remind myself, I say this is 3 inches by 8 inches. And I always like to say what my pattern is for. So this is for a teething ring. And I like to say cut 1 with cotton. And I'm going to cut 1 with some type of toweling fabric. And then the other thing that I like to do is I like to state that this is going to be place on fold, because really we are going to have this be 16 inches long. But this way it's just easy to use a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I can do my pattern. So all I'm going to do now is cut that out, and I will grab some fabric and we will put this pattern piece to use. As easy as that. So let's put that pattern piece to use now. So I had some terry cloth, and so I'm going to do that for one side of my teething ring. And so I'm just going to cut it out, and I'm just using my rotary blade here. You could definitely use scissors if you want. Might be time for a new blade for Lisa, but let's see how good we got it. There we go. Okay, so I've got one side cut, and remember how I said we place that on the fold? So I've got that piece, and then I had this really cute fabric that I use for some receiving blankets, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to place that on the fold, and I am going to cut that one out. So this goes really quickly together, you guys, once you get this all cut out. And then I'm gonna grab right below where I'm cutting out, as I have my stash of wooden rings. And so I just wanna show you, this is the type of wooden ring that we're going to be using to go with this teething ring. So easy as can be now, you guys. All I'm gonna do is take my fabric here and I'm gonna put right sides together. Now terry cloth, really, you can't tell which is the right and which is the wrong side. But I'm gonna match those up. I'm going to put clips on them, and I'm going to leave an opening about this big. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew a seam all the way around. Okay, so let's hop over to the sewing machine. So I did put some clips all the way around to keep it in place, and I did mark this just with that opening that I want to make sure I leave. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to do right about a 1/4 inch seam on this. So I'm going to move my needle to the beginning or to the middle, and we're just going to do a little stitch there. We're going to do a back stitch, and then we're going to stitch all the way around, taking my clips off as I go. So we're done at the sewing machine, and what I want to do is I just want to clip those ends, just so it will help me when I get ready to do my turn. And then the other thing that I like to do before I turn is I like to start by pressing open my seam here, and that just helps this opening. This is where we left that opening. That just helps it lay a little bit better when we come time to do our top stitch, which we're going to do after we get this turned. So I just give that just a little bit of a press. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to reach inside there, and we're going to turn this right side out. And then I have got my handy little clover turning tool, which I just absolutely love and I use all the time. It has got a curved end, and then it's got the pointy end. So I'm going to put the pointy end in there, and I am just going to try to get, without poking through, you do have to be careful there. I'm just trying to poke out those ends. And I just love how this tool works. So I get that nice and poked out, and then I've got my iron all ready, and I'm just going to give it a really, really good press. Right where I had that, where that opening is, I'm just going to make sure I give it a good press. And it looks like I could use this part of my tool, and I'm just going to make sure that seam is all the way out. Just really like to make sure we're all the way out with the seam, just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to clip right here, just so when I'm over at the sewing machine, I remember that this is where the opening is. So I want to be really precise on my seam, that I make sure that that is where I get both sides. Because the rest is really just a top stitch. It just helps secure it in place. But there we are. We've got our little piece of fabric there ready to go. I'm going to hop over the sewing machine, and we're going to give it a top stitch, and then we're going to pull it through a ring, and we're going to be done. So this is where I'm going to be using the middle point of my foot as the guide that I have on the outside here. And then I've moved my needle over to the far left-hand side. I am going to increase my stitch length up to 3.5. And I'm going to do a quick little back stitch, and then I'm just going to go, and we're going to go very slowly all the way around. Now this is where I have that opening, so I'm just making sure that everything is lined up really nice, so I close that opening. So removing my clips as I go. Okay, I'm just going to clip my threads here. Make sure I have all those threads all clipped. And it just looks nice as can be. And now we're going to pull it through. So what I like to do to pull it through is I'm going to put this in half, and I'm going to kind of squish it a little bit. And I'm going to bring that through my ring. Okay, so I've got that through the ring. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to pull right through there, right through that loop that I have. And then you just pull it tight. You got to work it a little bit. And you have now got a cute little teething ring. Now, one thing that I would tell you is that you can easily take this apart when you want to wash it, because these will come right off in washing. The other thing that I've seen people say that they like to do is to give it a good wash, definitely, because it's going to be used by the baby, but then you can get these ends wet and throw it in the freezer. And the babies love to gnaw on the ends of it. They can hold it with their little fingers, but they like to gnaw on the ends of it when they're teething. So I hope you liked this Inspiration Friday quick project on making some bunny ear teething ring for a little one. If you did, give it a thumbs up and make sure you share it with all your friends. Thanks for joining me. So I thought I'd show you a close-up view of my granddaughter using one that I made earlier this week. She just loves to gnaw on it as she's cutting her first teeth. And here's a quick view of something we're going to be making next week, a crinkle blanket. Thanks so much for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and check out my blog at funstuffcrafts.com for other DIY type projects.